Welcome back to another edition of the Talking Chairmen podcast. I believe we're on episode 16. And on tonight's edition to the Talking Chairmen podcast, we are going to be previewing our game versus Kings Lynn FC. I don't know what the echo sound is. Sorry about that. I'll try fix that in a second. But anyway, I've got a special guest on. We have got Steve on the Kings Lynn United, the Kings Lynn Chairman. How are you doing?
Very good, thank you, Luke. How are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you. Got a few technical issues.
Yeah, I think it says something about earplugs.
Let me try and mute my mic a sec.
Me and my mic. That's worked, but you're muted, I think.
Still echoing?
That's worked, but you're muted, I think.
There we go. Have we got any technical issues?
I think not.
I think we're done. Sorry about that. That was oh no, we've still got it. I'll have to try find a way. I'll try leave the studio. Sorry about this technical difficulty, everybody. So, I think we've got it sorted now. I know what was the problem. I had echoing on. Sorry for that technical difficulty. So, we'll basically start again then. We're previewing our game versus Kings Lynn on Saturday. And we brought on the Kings Lynn Chairman. So, how are you doing, Steve?
I'm very well, thank you, Luke. How are you?
I'm doing very well. I do really appreciate you coming on because, to be honest, we don't really get too many people officially with the club who usually come on for these previews. How are you doing? I know you have your own podcast, don't you?
I do. I run a little podcast called I Bought a Football Club. Comes out once a month, and it highlights other people in the game and how they've done it. So I always do podcasts when I'm asked because I know what it's like to be in your shoes.
Yeah. Well, I think that's. Other people may have different opinions on this, but I enjoy that where a chairman's honest about the club and what's going on and keeps you connected with the fans, doesn't it?
Exactly. That's what it's all about. And that's when I started doing my podcast when lockdown happened. And they were weekly then because obviously it was a little bit more difficult. But now it's now monthly.
Well, that's great to hear then. And what's it like from your point of view owning your own podcast?
Podcast, it's the hardest part is getting guests on, isn't it? Yeah, that's what I find. Is that what you find difficult?
We do sometimes find difficult. I know the reason this is on Friday is because we had to wait until the last minute actually trying to find a Kings Lynn fan on, and we finally got one. And I never expected the chairman to come on, so I do really appreciate you coming on.
No problems. Well done.
What are your thoughts then? Something that I've noticed on Kings Lynn's channel. When you do express your views, you usually put like clips on. Now, this is something that I enjoy watching and something that I wish Halifax Town are doing. I think a lot of people would love to see it as well. You show replays, don't you, on the YouTube channel? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, we sometimes now highlight the controversial incidents during the game. And the idea is it's not necessarily just to try and prove the point that I'm right and they're wrong, or you're right and I'm right, or whatever it is. We're just trying to say here's the slow motion of the match or of the incident, and what are your thoughts? It's just to provoke debate. Sometimes I agree with it, sometimes I don't, but we can still be friends, whatever we agree. So that's the purpose of it.
Yeah, it's a great idea. It's a great initiative that I think a lot of people out there would love to see. Like tomorrow, for example, this is something that I'd like to. Let's say Halifax Town get a goal disallowed tomorrow. Would you be showing that?
I might do. Yeah. I haven't had that yet because I haven't been in a situation where another team has had the wrong decision given to them. So I suppose if it happened, it would be a first, and I probably would show it.
Yeah. Well, at least we've got you honest on that part.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts then owning a football club, especially Kings Lynn? Owning Kings Lynn, how did it come across in the first place?
Well, to be honest with you, I don't really see myself as an owner. I just see myself as a custodian of the club.
Yeah.
And the idea is to try and put the club in a greater place when I leave it than when I joined. That's the principle of the concept. And, you know, it's been a very difficult few years. And owning a football club isn't for the faint-hearted. It's 7 days a week. It's several hours a day. And it's relentless, and it keeps coming at you. And things that you never even thought of, things that crop up, you know, from day to day, and of course, because I'm relatively visible, relatively easy to contact. If you want to email me or DM like you did, you just DM me. It's just pretty straightforward. But that, of course, leaves you open to a lot of unsavory people who like to give you a bit of abuse, but it also lets you open to people that want to say hello for whatever reason or got an issue, etc. So I always try and make myself available. I don't see why people don't do it more, but I get the reason why. But and there's a lot to do, but it's a difficult job. It's a hard task, and I think a lot of chairmen get a lot of stick, and the reality is that a lot of the stick that they're getting isn't necessarily their fault. Some of it is, but not necessarily. It's very hard for anyone to go through a season without making mistakes on the field, off the field, anywhere else on the field. So everyone's going to make errors. It's just how you respond to those errors when you make them. And I think anyone in charge of a football club, be it the most die-harded fan of that club, would also anticipate the same problem. So, you know, it's a hard job.
It does keep you close with the fans, doesn't it? If you're like interactive with them, so they know exactly what's going on at the football club. We obviously compare this with the top level, for instance, the Chelsea situation at the minute. No Chelsea fans really know what's going on with the club, where if something did happen to Kings Lynn, the fans would actually know what's going on. And I think that's great to hear, and it could help support you, couldn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you try and make it pretty open, and and in the stadium itself, I often go around and chat to people. That's, you know, they don't always want to talk to you. They want to talk to their mates, but you know, if they want to talk to me, they can talk to me. That's what, as long as you're available, I think that's the key thing, and you're not in some kind of ivory tower. It's all. I mean, there's nothing better, in my opinion, than just not having to. If I go to a game and I'm not actually running, not involved in the game, it's great to sit down and be a guy on the bus, you know what I mean? And not have to be someone to worry about this thing going wrong, that thing going wrong, are the guests happy, or etc., etc. So it's a bit of a poison chalice, I'll be honest with you, but it is what it is.
Have you got your positive? I'm sure there are positives, aren't they, with owning a football club too?
Well, there's a few when you win, and if you get promoted, but even then, I mean, look, our promotions have been very difficult. One through COVID, one through a super playoff final, which is very unusual, and they came with quite a lot of logistical nightmares. And then as soon as the good news happens, you've got promoted, you're already planning for the next day, because you know you're going to have to do A, B, and C to meet league requirements, or you know you've got to find more money, and whatever it is, you know, it's always something to. It's very hard to sit back and relax, and I'm sure it's not like that at the top end of the game, but at this end of the game, it's very much that way. So, but there are positives, I guess. I suppose a bit of access. You can talk to people, you can find out what's really going on, but you know what I mean. A lot of that, most fans know anyway. It's pretty straightforward to work out what's going on. They might not have every in-depth decision, but they know a lot of it. So it's pretty self-explanatory.
Do you think Kings Lynn, since you've took over, you've reached your expectations? Do you realistically set expectations when you first join a club? And
well, you have goals. I have goals, and the goal when I first joined, and I've written an article. I write a weekly, not a weekly. Whenever we're at home, I write an article in the local regional paper, the EDP. And when I first joined, I said that I wanted to get the football club into the Football League, and I was comparing. And tomorrow's article is all about that, whether that's actually possible. And it's a tough league that we're in. You know, it's a tough league that you're in. You're at the right end of it. Of course, we're at the bottom end. But you guys have done very well, because you haven't got you probably, your budget, I'm sure, is a lot bigger than ours. But it's probably not as big as those clubs around you, or many of those clubs around you. So you've spent it well. You've got a great manager. He knows what he's doing. He's brought the right players in. So the problem with football is that you're quite. With the previous manager I had, it was quite frustrating because the communication wasn't so much there. He may have felt the same way. I mean, who knows? But the point is, it was difficult, and therefore to plan and your viewpoint isn't always considered. And then and if your viewpoint's right or wrong, if it goes wrong, you feel a bit upset. So it's a little bit complicated sometimes, in football. It's a strange business. That's all I can really explain it as. Yeah, a very strange business, quite unique.
Yeah. I'm sure it has got its enjoyment though, hasn't it? Being an owner, I'm sure a lot of people, when you're first looking on the outside, I'd love to be a football owner, but then you do get a lot of hatred that does sometimes come with it, doesn't it?
No, it does. Yeah, it does. And not from that many people, you'll be surprised to hear, but from a few. And a lot of it as well is what people, the thought police, as I call them, what they think you're saying, and you may have said something which perhaps was a little bit clumsy, or maybe something you could have worded better, and they twist it, into what they think. And that's the problem with society these days. I'm sorry to say, it just needs to stop. And it's a bit of the problem with what's wrong with the British society versus the American society. Americans, if someone fails, they don't kick them. Whereas over here, we tend to say, he failed at this, or he did this wrong, or this was a disaster. But if he's got back on his feet and done something else, we don't say, well done. We always remember the bad news, and that's the problem. So hopefully that's beginning to change now, and hopefully in your generation that will change further.
Do you sometimes struggle as an owner to keep hold of players? For example, I'm sure there was Adam Marriott, who's obviously moved on to Barnet. Do you struggle as an owner to keep hold of players? And I'm sure it's very frustrating, isn't it? I know we've had our share of players where we've had great players thinking they're going to sign on the following season, and they've been snatched away from us at the last minute.
Yeah, one of your lads went to Chesterfield. Good player, wasn't he?
Yeah, Jeff King.
Yeah, I liked him. By the way, how is Harvey Gilmore playing?
He's a bit of a fringe player at this moment in time, to be totally honest. He's in and out of the side. Never really played particularly poor, but I don't particularly think we've seen the best of him yet.
Okay, the best is yet to come. That's what they say. So look, to answer your question, if a bigger club comes calling, it's hard for a football player to turn that down. What we have to realise as a football club is that we are what we are, and what we are is a great platform. And we had our game on, when did we play last Tuesday night? We had 6 league clubs there. I'm not sure how many.
Stockport, you played Tuesday night.
Yes, when we played Stockport last Tuesday.
Yeah.
We had 6 scouts from league clubs there. Now, a lot of clubs, not all clubs, encourage that. I encourage it. I don't mind them coming. I let them come. I put them upstairs. I give them tea and coffee. Because I want to be part of those players' journeys. Now, obviously, I want our better players to stay with us. But if it means that I get a player for 6 months, 9 months, etc., that I otherwise wouldn't have got, and maybe I'll give you a great example. So Ethan Coleman this season, he had 7 or 8 other clubs, including 2 football league clubs, and the other clubs from our division, after him. And they all offered him more money than I did. But he signed for me. Now, why did he sign for us? Because A, he'd been in the environment, and B, if he knew that he went to the league clubs, he probably wasn't going to play. So he needed to stake his claim and then move on. So the reality is, we should be pleased that he chose us over a other club, which would be bigger. What was bigger than ourselves? All the other clubs are bigger than us. But the flip side of that is, okay, we had a long-term contract for him. Another year and a half. I could have stood in his way, but if I did that, it's harder for me to attract the next player. So what I need to do is to say, okay, we need to have a good scouting network, so when that happens, we can bring in someone else to replace him. And that's key.
Another example, Sonny Carey. Now, when a club like Blackpool coming, not many clubs can compete at this level with the sizes of Blackpools who come rushing in to try sign players. Now, it's a positive in some way because it promotes that sort of player. He came from Kings Lynn. I know we've had examples like Lee Gregg, who's at Sheffield Wednesday now. Jamie Vardy done extremely brilliant things. And it promotes us as a whole. For example, Jamie Vardy going on, he started at Halifax Town. And do you feel that when you're losing players like that, it can be crucial at times, but it can also be a positive?
I think you've got to look at it as a positive. The lad's gone on. I mean, Blackpool was not the only championship club. There were 2 other championship clubs came in for Sonny Carey. And the key is, for me, I mean, we found Sonny Carey through one of our ex-players called Ryan Jarvis, who's a bit of a club legend for us, and he found him, and I look at it that we brought him into the building, we helped him develop his career, and then he left us, and he's gone on to, obviously sadly for him, he's broken his metatarsal bone, so he's going to be out for a few more weeks. But I don't know, maybe he's coming back now actually. But anyway, but we still have a bond with him. He's come to see us 2 or 3 times this season to watch games. And he remembers, I'm sure, Kings Lynn affectionately as the launch pad of his career. He didn't make it in Norwich's academy. Life could have been completely different for him. But then if someone was to ask him, hopefully, let's say next season, there's a couple of youngsters who maybe we might like the look of, and maybe they ring up him and say to him, "What's it like down there?" Then he'll tell them what it was like for him. And that might be better for us than if you ring up another club where perhaps the club hasn't been so keen to let him out and made it difficult for them, etc. So I'm proud that someone like Sonny's come in, been with us for a while, great footballer, fantastic talent, and now he's gone on to the Championship, and I hope he goes on again from there.
Talking a bit about Norwich City, do you seem to have a bit of a relationship with them regarding bringing in youngsters, for example, possibly coming on loan, players who haven't just quite cut it out at Norwich City may come to Kings Lynn because it's fairly local?
Yeah, I mean, look, they're a great club, and they've got great guys down there. And some of their under-23 games are played now at Kings Lynn. So we've got a great relationship with them, and they've been very helpful. We're very grateful for their support. Look, and you've got to remember that Norwich's standard is a lot higher than ours. We're playing in the National League, they're playing in the Premier League. So there are players that could make it for us and wouldn't necessarily make it for them. It doesn't mean to say they're bad footballers, they're just not quite right at that stage of their career. And you can't keep everyone at a big club, and there's some you're going to get wrong occasionally, but equally, I don't think they've got any wrong that have gone on to Premier League, etc. So look, they have been great. We do loan players off them, and they're not the only club, but there are other clubs that have helped us too. And you've got to build up those relationships and work with those guys, because that's a great thing to have. A great blow to have in your area.
Yeah. Talking a bit about this current season, then, what are your thoughts on it as a Kings Lynn fan? Was it your are you reaching the expectations of the start of the season? Were you hoping to possibly try stay up? Obviously, you're still in the chance of staying up, but it's slightly sliding away, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it's a difficult job. There's no question about that. We're going to need to win at least 5 games, and we're going to need to hope that other clubs don't, which is not the nicest thing to hope, but it's the only way we can stay up. So it hasn't. Look, I'll be honest. At the beginning of the season, I spoke to a couple of the scouts that I trust, and they said to me that they told me that they thought we were in trouble before a ball was kicked because the recruitment wasn't good enough. It's slightly out of my control, which is one of the most frustrating things about this business. They turned out to be right. I didn't want them to be right, but they are right, as you can see by our status in the league. But equally, I would say this, Luke, that I don't believe we're the worst or second worst team in the league. I think we're not a bad football club, and we've got some decent players, and I do think that we can. Our destiny is in our own hands and in our own players' hands. And if they put the effort in and desire, which I'm sure they will, I'm sure they want to stay in this league, they take a long time to get here, then anything can happen to change it around. So it's not where I want to be, but it's where we are, and we'll just have to see how we get out of it. Did you go to the game at your place earlier on in the season?
Yeah, I went to the game at our place. Did you go? I'm sure you did.
I did. What did you make of it?
Well, I did actually want to talk a little bit on the Kings Lynn game. Now, to be honest, we were thinking going into the game, it was after the loss against Kidderminster in the FA Cup, so the whole town was on a bit of a down, and Kings Lynn, you thought, it's an awkward game. We're expected to win when you're looking at the sizes of each of us squads, league positions, and it was quite a tough game. Kings Lynn were very well organised and, very defensively organised, and you were thinking, this is going to be a tight game. Went into half-time with it being 0-0, I believe, and I think as soon as we took the lead, Kings Lynn had to come out at us, and then you sort of knew, we're probably going to end up winning this game. However, when we did go 1-0 up, Kings Lynn kept going. They started to try play a bit more football now, and you started to get a bit nervous as a Halifax Town fan on that game, and luckily we scored at the right time very late on. I still remember that goal. It was a bit of a mistake, but yeah, what were your thoughts then on the reverse fixture?
Well, I think you summed it up very well. I mean, my analysis was the same as yours. I thought we did create chances in the game. We could have won the game, but it was a mistake at the end that killed us, a stupid error. and lack of concentration, which is sometimes happens. And you took advantage and you put the ball, and that's what happens at this level. If you make a mistake, you get punished. It's not a place for the faint-hearted people. It's a game where if you make errors, they're punished. So that's it. I thought you were the better team. I think you are the better team. There's no question about that. You've got better players, you've got better budgets, you've got better support in terms of numbers of people coming through, etc. So we're always going to be the underdogs. I mean, you're an ex-league football club. You've got to remember that. So but I thought for what we did, we gave a really good showing of ourselves, and we made it difficult for you. We made it tough, and I felt that, on another day, perhaps we were taking a chance or two. It could have been a different result, but it wasn't to be. You deserved to win it. But I thought we gave you a good game.
It wasn't a particularly enjoyable night, if I remember. It wasn't a very enjoyable game, I must say, from our point of view, because Kings Lynn was so organised defensively. And when a side's coming to the Shay with the current league position, they're going to come and they're probably going to want to play on the breakaway. And it wasn't a particularly enjoyable game, I must say, from my point of view. But luckily, from our point of view, we did actually get the win. There has been some very enjoyable games, though, against Kings Lynn from our point of view. For example, the BT Sport game behind closed doors when we won 4-2 last season. We came from 2-0 down, and we thought, this season's going to be gone if we lost to Kings Lynn when it was 2-1 it was at half-time. And we were thinking, oh no, we can't lose this game if we're wanting to try secure a place in the playoffs. Previously to that season, we also had that 1-1 draw at your place, and I remember the fog on the stream, which was a little annoying, I must say. Do you remember them two fixtures?
Yeah, I do. I think Michael Gash scored at your place from memory, and scored the first one. And look, the problem is last season we couldn't defend. And if we scored 2, you probably were going to score 3 or 4. That's how it is. And this season, we defend better. Under Tommy Widrington, we've just tightened up a little bit, and it needed to tighten up. And I thought they were. We did a good account of ourselves. It would have been difficult for you to see it at the Walks, as you say. The fog was pretty bad. I was sat on a roof of the away end tomorrow. Part of the away end was under that roof, so that's where I was seated, so it wasn't that easy to see everything, but at the end of the day, you're a good football club. You're in a great position. You run it well. The budgets are, you outperform, I would say. There's probably lots of clubs
I'd agree with that,
spending more money who are below you. And that's the point. If you're spending the money well, that's it. That's all you can ask for.
Yeah, exactly, and I think that's the thing with Kings Lynn. Now, they've made it to the National League, and I don't particularly think anyone really expected them to make it to the National League. Something that I do want to talk about. Now, Kings Lynn, I'm sure they do have their star men, like every club really does, but Cameron King, now, he was a tremendous player when he was at Halifax Town. We really enjoyed him. We were very sad to see him go. He had that particular, I think it was 2019-20 campaign. He was exceptional for the SHAYMEN and was that real crucial part of Halifax Town's team. However, since he joined Kings Lynn, he hasn't particularly got too much game time, has he?
No, look, he's not playing at all. He's not training at the moment. I can't go too much into it, but it's a medical thing, and I did actually speak to him via text this week or last week, I forget when. Time does tend to disappear. And I did ask him to speak to the manager. I don't know whether he's had time to speak to the manager yet, etc. But at the end of the day, he is, as you say, he played for us before he came to you. And then he went to you. And I didn't want him to go to you. I must admit, I wanted to keep him because he's just you saw he's a brilliant talent when he's on his game. He really is a talent. But he needs to play games and he's not playing, so it's a shame. And I wouldn't just. I don't know. It's very difficult. So I would like Cameron to be back on a football pitch, but obviously he scored a brilliant goal for us in pre-season against MK Dons from the halfway line, and he's not really played since. So it's a shame, as you say.
Yeah, he was an exceptional talent. I remember when Kings Lynn first got promoted that season, I looked at some of the players. Adam Marriott, obviously, was still there from the National League. I think, are you part of the National League South, I believe you were part of?
North.
And he was the North. Oh, you actually are the North. National League North. Scored the top goal scorer in the division with 20+ goals.
Yeah.
You kept hold of him. You had Cameron King in the side, Sonny Carey. I thought, you know what, Kings Lynn could be that shock side in the league who possibly come up and possibly try, even possibly be a playoff contender when you're looking at some of the players in that squad. But when you're having the likes of Cameron King injured, it does put a different perspective on it, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And look, we had other players who were important to us who didn't come through. Sadly, we had Michael Dash, who's great.
Yeah.
We had Ryan Jarvis as well.
Yeah.
There was some brilliant. I mean, the goalie Pedro in those days was. Still today he's not playing for us anymore, but he's an infectious character. So we had some great footballers, and it was a great team to watch. But what we haven't got is the strength in depth because we haven't got the money. It's as simple as that. We haven't got the money to pay what we do, let alone what to extend it even more. So it's as you know, it's the fans. The more fans you have, the more money you have, the more budget you have. It's pretty straightforward. Unless you've got a guy dropping money in, significant amounts of money, it's very difficult. So that's the problem. When you get one or two injuries, your team is hugely dented, and we just can't do anything about it.
Yeah, exactly. Talking a bit about back to when we were talking about losing players to bigger clubs, it was hard, wasn't it, for Kings Lynn to replace specific players, wasn't it, this season?
Yeah, very difficult, very difficult. And this season, we lost Mazza, as you said, to at the end of the lot. But it was the right thing to do. We had COVID, we couldn't afford him, so we had to furlough him. He got an offer, and it was right that we would never stand in a player's way. We're not going to do that. So he went on. Michael Gash got a full-time job. He couldn't really commit to giving that up and coming with us full-time. So there are things. There's all sorts of mitigating circumstances. But the fact is, and especially in the first part of the season, we haven't been good enough, and that's why we got beaten all the time. We just weren't good enough, and the recruitment hasn't been good enough. But we brought in the new manager's brought in the new players. He's changed slightly the way we were playing football that I don't think we had previously, that I don't think we had a right to play. You can't bot the ball around unless you've got better players in the game against those in front of you. And we haven't got, you only got to look at Stockport. If you tried to bot the ball around them, you probably wouldn't be able to do it. So that's the point. In the National League, in the step 3, we had better players, probably the best players. And in step 2, we probably weren't far off the best players. So, but in step 1, as you know, there's a huge gulf. It's a big gap. So, it's difficult when you lose your main guys. It's very problematic. And we have been unlucky this year with injuries. There's no question about that. But that's also down to a bit of the pre-season preparation, which I don't think has been good enough. So there's a lot of mitigating factors. It comes back to us. You're the architects of your own downfall, I'm sorry to say, sometimes in football, and we just got to learn from it and make sure we don't make the same mistakes next season.
Yeah, I remember us in pre-season, we weren't too positive going into the 2021-22 season. We were a little cautious with the investment in the squad. We didn't particularly have a great pre-season, not playing too many games. I believe we only played 2 pre-season games, and we lost a lot of crucial players last season. For example, Jake Hyde left to Wrexham, Jack Earing went to Walsall, Jeff King went to Chesterfield, Neil Byrne went to Hartlepool. The list goes on. There were a lot of great players from last season that left the side, even for undisclosed fees as well. It wasn't just that they were out of contract, they left for undisclosed fees. And the players that we replaced them with, they weren't particularly to the same level, the same background of competition. For example, bringing in someone like Billy Waters, never really hit it off in his career. A fringe player at Torquay last season. Jordan Slewy only scored, I think, 13 goals in as many years. And it does go the either way sometimes when you're looking at recruitment. Some players that are not expected to do as well do end up doing as well if the team does gel. Now I want to talk.
So you've got to give credit to your manager about that. Now.
Yeah,
the
recruitment.
He's lost half his team and he's replaced it with players that he can afford, and he's got them playing. So that's your manager. You've got to give the credit.
What's your thoughts on? Well, I can't. In a way, what are your thoughts on the job that the current Kings Lynn manager's doing?
I think he's doing a great job. Look, it's a very difficult job because you have to come in, you're dealt a pack of cards that someone's left you, and then you've got to change it, and you've got to change the style of play in our case, and the way we're playing, and bring in some reinforcements. And it's difficult if you're a footballer, you're a decent player. You have a look at Kings Lynn where we are on the table. Unless you love a challenge.
Yeah.
You know, what's going to attract you? Now, it might be like the manager attracts you because you know him or whatever. And so, but again, as I say to you, we've got to set the stage. We can put players on and give them the chance to perform and get the move. So they always want to dream move back into the league, so we can put players back together that have maybe fallen out of the league or push players up who perhaps haven't, we think should be in the league. So if you look at one of the lads that managers brought in, a lad called Ollie Scott, came out of Sunderland's academy. He's a left back. He's fantastic. He's not much bigger than you, but I have to tell you, he's a brilliant footballer.
I'm not even 5 foot, so I don't know about that.
But not saying you're not a good footballer, but he is a phenomenal footballer and a real talent. A brilliant, knows exactly where to put himself on the pitch at any one point. Reads the game very well. So look, I think the manager's got it about right. We clearly lack in goals, but equally. We got 3 goals at Aldershot. We could have had 3 goals against Stockport, maybe a couple more. But if we don't take the chances, they don't come back against teams like Stockport. So that's the thing. So we're he's doing the best he can in a difficult situation.
Going into tomorrow's game, then, how do you reckon Kings Lynn are going to set up?
Well, that I don't know. And if I did know, I probably wouldn't tell you, I'll be honest.
So, what playing style then? Like, do you think they'll play on the counter attack?
Even that I'm not sure about, because it's an interesting one. I mean, you're not Stockport, but you're still a very good team. And it's going to be very difficult for us to... Well, don't get me wrong, I don't think anyone's Stockport in this league. I think Stockport are a step above everyone else. I think Stockport are 3 steps above everyone else. But... taking them out the equation, we don't want we've got to stay in the game, be in the game, and I think that will be the manager's most important point. We've got injuries. It's not easy for us, therefore, to put together the team he would like to put out, but he'll no doubt be competitive. He'll want to be competitive in the game, and he'll want to go out and give it a go. I mean, you guys are probably in the playoffs, whatever happens.
Yeah,
I'm sure of that.
Hopefully.
Well, I can't be. I'll be amazed if we're not in the playoffs, and that's tremendous. We need to pick up some results, and we're running out of, as you said, we're running out of runway. So we've got to get on with that. So we're at home. Our pitch probably isn't as good as yours. I'm not quite sure.
I don't know about that. Our current situation with our pitch it's not in the greatest condition. With
why is that?
To put it bluntly, the council don't really give anything about the football club, and I think Halifax Town fans watching will probably agree with me on that. I did a full video on that if you'd like to check that out. But the pitch conditions are horrendous at this moment in time, with the rugby also playing on it, so I'm sure yours aren't too much worse than ours.
Well, let's see. I'll be interested to see what. Are you coming tomorrow, Lou?
Unfortunately, I can't. We were planning on going, but we've got other plans now. I do wish I could go, though. Unfortunately, I can't.
Never mind. I'm sure you'll listen to it on the radio somewhere.
Yeah, hopefully we can get 3 points. But does it give you more confidence when you're looking at us on Tuesday night? We lost to Wrexham away. Quite a horrible performance, to be honest. I don't really particularly want to go into details on that game. Does it give you much confidence going into tomorrow?
No. Look, Wrexham again are right up the top, and they're paying out fortunes to players, massive bonuses, goal bonuses, telephone salaries to managers, telephone number salaries to managers. So losing to Wrexham, from your perspective, is no great shakes. You'd expect to lose to Wrexham, and so would we, and so did we. When we went there, we lost 2-0. And at home they put 6 past us under the previous manager. So although there was a couple of instances in that game which I didn't feel were correct from the referee, but that aside, I think to get anything from you tomorrow would be an amazing achievement from our perspective, and therefore I haven't got I always go into games with relatively low expectations, and that way I try not to be too upset if the result goes against us. But I would love to get a result against you.
Yeah. We do see it as quite an awkward game, Kings Lynn. When you're going away to Kings Lynn, you're expected to win. However, at Kings Lynn, with the pitch conditions, it may not suit us. Obviously, Kings Lynn fans will get behind them. It's quite a difficult place because it's quite far to go. It is going to be a tough game from our point of view. Are there any star men then for Kings Lynn?
Well, I think there are several, but they're all for different reasons. Obviously, the back. Depending. I don't know if we're going to go with a back three or a back two, but Josh Colson, you'll know about from coming out of Cambridge United, was at Southend, went on loan to Southend. You've got Ross Barrows next to him, he's a good player. I think Ross Barrows played for Halifax as well, didn't he?
Yeah, Ross Barrows, he played for us in the FA Trophy final, I believe.
There you go.
Yeah, good player.
Good kid. He's from Yorkshire. Yeah, he lives in Sheffield. Ollie Scott, who we've mentioned. Tyler Denton, the left back, phenomenal. The captain, Michael Clonan, keeps them all ticking.
Yeah.
Our star player in terms of talent, is without doubt Joshua Barrett. He really is a player that can turn it on. He's got great talent. Passes the ball so well, has what I call pigeon vision. He can see 360 degrees around the pitch at any point, and he can play the most delightful passes. So hopefully he'll be on the ball, but he's someone we need to. He's a spark, a real spark. If he can fire up tomorrow, it will give us a chance.
He's, when you've got star men like that, anything could probably happen tomorrow. You're looking at that, and you're looking at Halifax losing on Tuesday night. Talking a bit about tickets, and how much are tickets tomorrow?
Well, I think they're not the £18 tomorrow for an adult, so I guess it's £16 for a concession, £5 for kids. That's it. And then I think it's an extra £2 on top for seats, something like that.
How many is it? I'm sure it is segregated. At Kings Lynn United.
Yeah, it's segregated. You get 900 spaces.
Good.
Will you fill that? Do you think?
Yeah, we will. Nah,
will you?
No, we won't. We won't be filling the 900 spaces.
How many will you bring tomorrow?
Oh, yeah. I'd like to say 250 to probably 300, but that's too much. It probably would. That's what I'd expect. But we'll probably end up bringing probably between 150 and 200. The way we're playing, we probably should be taking more, but I can't really say anything because I'm not going tomorrow. I do usually go to most away games, but unfortunately I can't go tomorrow. Are there any places then, prior to kick-off, for away fans?
Well, there probably are, and I'm not the guy to ask because I try and get them to come to our bar because our bar's got great TV in. Yeah, and those Halifax fans who are sitting in the seats can access our bar, which has got great TV screens. We're showing the England game afterwards, and we're only charging £3 a pint. How does that compare to your Yorkshire pubs up there? Well, you don't have pints. You can't drink. You're far too young.
No, that's the thing. So I couldn't probably give you any
I
news on that. No. How much is a Coca-Cola then?
That's it. That. I don't know what a Coca-Cola costs. I've got no idea. But I would think less than that.
Yeah.
But who knows?
So finally, then, what is your score prediction for tomorrow?
You know what? I think we could be in for a draw tomorrow. I'd like a draw.
I could see. I shouldn't be because we're playing brilliantly and over expectations, but yeah, I could possibly see us dropping points. I think I'm going to give a prediction, you know what, I'll go for 2-0 away win for Halifax Town. That more or less wraps it up then. I do really appreciate you coming on, Steve, taking the time out. Best of luck for tomorrow, but not too much. I will leave a link in the description for your podcast. And safe journeys to all the Halifax Town fans travelling to Kings Lynn tomorrow. Thank you.
Thanks, Luke. No problems. Take care.